As an M&A lawyer, I've seen buyers make devastating mistakes which cost them thousands of pounds and wasted months of time. And the worst part is that these mistakes were 100% avoidable. I'm Malcolm Zoppi, an English qualified solicitor, and in this video we'll discuss the buyer's top 3 biggest mistakes. We'll discuss mistakes regarding, for example, how the offer to buy the business was wrongly structured, the kind of things that should have been included in the sale and purchase agreement, and how the buyer should have behaved with the seller. Amazing, let's jump straight into it. Mistake number 1 is not adjusting the purchase price according to completion accounts. Buyers often think that they will buy a business at a predefined price. For example, they may have stipulated in the heads of terms that they're buying that business for £1 million. Now, if that price wouldn't change, that would be known as a locked box deal. The price is locked, it doesn't change. But that can be a huge mistake. Keep in mind that from the moment the heads of terms are signed until you become the actual owner of that business, usually at least 3 months pass. And during those 3 months, the target business might have incurred more liabilities and maybe even disposed of important assets. For this, paying the same price for a business that is different, with, for example, less assets and more liabilities, would be a big mistake. And that is why I advise my clients to adjust the purchase price in the sale and purchase agreement according to completion accounts. Completion accounts, in short, are financial accounts that are prepared according to how the business was as of completion. And how they work is, for example, if the company has more debts than anticipated, then the purchase price is reduced pound per pound, for example. But the opposite is true. If the company turns out to have more cash in its bank than anticipated, then you pay the seller more money. If you want to learn more about completion accounts and different ways to adjust the purchase price in a sale and purchase agreement, watch this video right here. Mistake number 2 is not including extensive warranties in the SPA. Sometimes buyers use a cheap or free online template when buying their business. You see, when buying a business, you're responsible for conducting your own due diligence. And that means that you are responsible for identifying issues with the target business. By using a cheap template, you're not protecting yourself against unknown issues, things that didn't come up during due diligence. Instead, buyers should instruct qualified specialist solicitors to draft comprehensive documents that are bespoke to their needs and, for example, include extensive warranties that are longer than 20 pages. Warranties, as you will know, are promises that the seller makes to you as the buyer as to the state of the business. An example of a warranty is that the company doesn't owe any money to HMRC. If that turns out to be untrue, then you as the buyer can claim money back from the seller, whether that's directly or set it off against the deferred payments. If you want to learn more about warranties in a sale and purchase agreement, watch this video right here. Great, but before we discuss the mistakes in behavior that buyers make when buying their business, feel free to send me an email if looking for professional legal advice. With our legal advice calls, there are no costs, no obligations, and no nonsense. Contact me now. Great, so the third main mistake is the buyer not meeting with the seller on a weekly basis. Buying a business is complex and difficult. It can really take a lot of energy from you, and it's not uncommon for a deal to abort, to not go through. The reason why deals abort very often is because the buyer and the seller are not on the same page. They cannot agree to important terms of the contract. This often leads to delays, legal fees increasing, maybe even the purchase price of the business increasing, and eventually the deal aborting. Instead, buyers and sellers should meet on a weekly basis to discuss the deal and continue building rapport and trust. You can use this time to iron out details so that the deal continues to proceed ahead smoothly and towards a timely completion. From my professional experience, I've had 2 main kinds of clients. One that meets with the seller on a regular basis and builds rapport and trust, and one that is quite contentious, distant, and finds issues in many things. The one that focuses on building rapport with the seller ends up completing on the deal quicker, at a lower cost, and with a lower purchase price. The same cannot be said for the litigious and distant client. As a bonus tip, be willing to step away from the deal. As a buyer, you're not obliged to only buy from that seller. Instead, the seller typically has signed exclusivity and cannot sell to anyone else during that exclusivity period. But I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Please comment below what mistakes you have made in the past, what mistakes you've seen other people make, and what are you most worried about when buying a business. Conducting due diligence is a key part of minimizing your risks as a buyer. To learn about the top 3 legal red flags that might come up during due diligence, watch this video right here. Thank you for watching.